The book of Genesis covers a lot. In fact, just the first 3 chapters cover a lot. In Genesis chapter 1, God creates. He creates everything. In Genesis 2, we are given specific details about the part of creation that describes the beginning of humankind. God formed Adam out of the dust and breathed life into him. Then God put Adam in the Garden of Eden. He gave him specific instructions to follow. Let's read Genesis 2, verses 16 and 17. And the Lord God commanded the man, "You are free to eat from any tree in the garden, but you must not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. For when you eat from it, you will certainly die." Adam named the animals God had created, but needed a helper. So God made Eve, and they lived happily ever after in the garden. Well, until the end of chapter 2. Now we find ourselves in Genesis chapter 3. To summarize, the serpent talked to Eve, making her question what God said about not eating from one specific tree. Eve told him what God said, and the serpent lied to her, saying she wouldn't die, but that she would be like God, so she took a bite. Many people like to blame Eve, but Adam was right next to her, and he ate some too. Then God shows up on the scene. Now, let's pick up in Genesis chapter 3, verses 13 through 19. Then the Lord God said to the woman, "What is this you have done?" The woman said, "The serpent deceived me, and I ate." So the Lord God said to the serpent, "Because you have done this, cursed are you above all livestock and all wild animals. You will crawl on your belly, and you will eat dust all the days of your life. And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and hers. He will crush your head, and you will strike his heel." To the woman he said, "I will make your pains in childbearing very severe. With painful labor, you will give birth to children. Your desire will be for your husband, and he will rule over you." To Adam he said, "Because you listened to your wife and ate fruit from the tree about which I commanded you, you must not eat from it. Cursed is the ground because of you. Through painful toil, you will eat food from it all the days of your life. It will produce thorns and thistles for you, and you will eat the plants of the field. By the sweat of your brow, you will eat your food until you return to the ground, since from it you were taken. For dust you are, and to dust you will return. Since the beginning of time, people have been blaming someone else for their sin. Adam blamed Eve. Eve blamed the serpent. Adam and Eve were given free will, and they made the choice to sin. Their sin had both immediate and long-term consequences. First, let's look at some of the immediate consequences for them. Woman was created as the helper, but marriage would now include the tension of control, and she would also experience pain in childbirth. Men had always been created to work, but that work became difficult just to meet basic needs. What once was joy became difficult and necessary for survival. Adam and Eve both sinned. To be clear, our Handbook of Doctrine explains that sin is anything contrary to the known will of God. God was clear about his will. Do not eat from one tree, but they acted contrary to his will. They ate from the tree. Unfortunately, their sin did not only create consequences for them, there were consequences for everyone who came after them. This is known as original sin, or the sin nature. All humans are now inclined to sin from birth. If left on our own, without God's help, we are more likely to sin than not to sin. Our Handbook of Doctrine points out, sin relates to more than what we do. It arises from what we are. What we are is totally depraved. So what does depravity mean? Total depravity does not mean that we are all as wicked as we can possibly be. It means that the inclination to sin affects every part of every human being. It totally affects us completely. The image of God in us has been marred. Without God's grace, we keep getting worse. The good news, though, is that God extends His grace. Grace is something completely undeserved. Humans disobeyed and continue to disobey Him. But His grace allows us to choose Him instead of choosing sin. Adam and Eve still had free will after the fall, and to this day, we can choose or reject God and His grace for ourselves.